So vibrating things have been making a lot of us very happy over the years, and some of us extra super duper happy. You know who you are. But for some inconceivable reason, our dexterous gamer hands are usually the only things to receive the touch of good vibes and haptic feedback. I see this as a travesty, a downright miscarriage of justice, and a slap in the face of gamers everywhere. Which could be why Razer created what we'll be reviewing in this video. To slap us all in the face, but hopefully in a good way? That's right, we're taking a look at the Razer Kaira Pro, or more specifically the dual wireless version built for all platforms, not the one built exclusively for the Xbox. So, along with good vibes, what else does Razer's Kaira Pro have up its shaky sleeves? Well, let's find out. Right after we find out a little more about today's video sponsor Crucial and their new Gen 4 P5 Plus NVMe SSD. The P5 Plus is a high-speed, ultra-reliable PCIe 4.0 drive that delivers about double the rated speed of Gen 3 drives, with impressive quoted read and write speeds of 6600 megabytes per second and up to 5000 megabytes per second respectively. And they come in 500 gig, 1 terabyte, and 2 terabyte flavors. In my review of the P5 Plus, which you can check out on the channel, I found that it delivered on everything it promised and beyond. It managed to boost speeds to almost 10 gigabytes per second via the Crucial Storage Executive software, which is just nuts. The P5 Plus is also an amazing little drive for upgrading your PS5 storage, as I found out in my tutorial video where I show you how to do exactly that. The P5 Plus delivers on all of this while also being priced super competitively, comes packed with security features, is backed by a 5-year warranty, and features cherry-picked NAND flash and controller modules directly from Big Daddy Micron. For more info on the P5 Plus, check the link in the description down below, and if you're in South Africa and are ready to pull the trigger, do it at Takealot, also linked down below. So let's get into it. Inside the sexy blue explosion of a box, we find the headset itself, a detachable mic, a Type-C charging cable, a Type-A to Type-C adapter cable, a Type-C wireless dongle, and some paperwork along with a couple of iconic Razer stickers that I promise not to stick on my face this time. As for interface, we've got a mic mute slider, a TNC volume control knob, a power button, a button for adjusting haptic feedback intensity, a chat volume wheel, and a button for switching between 2.4 GHz and Bluetooth wireless modes. Switching between those was totally seamless, by the way, so good job on that, Razer. Now, even though the wireless range is rated for about 10 meters or so, I actually found that the connection to be even more solid than that, with the headset staying connected well beyond 10 meters and through multiple brick walls. Taking a closer look at the headset itself, it becomes very clear that Razer is drinking the minimalist Kool-Aid more and more these days, moving further and further away from the big, bulky, ultimate gamer aesthetic we've seen from them and most of the other gaming headset makers over the last, couple of years. Instead, we've got a very sleek, modern-looking headset, one that, if I wasn't living in South Africa where it would be snatched off my head the second I stepped foot outside my door, I would totally wear wherever I went. The matte white finish looks and feels about as premium as it gets. The leatherette ear cups are surprisingly low-key if you don't count the shocking blue on the inside cushioning, and the brushed metal accents on either side elevate the whole premium aesthetic by more than a few levels. I also appreciate that Razer didn't go overboard on branding here. I mean, hell, if it weren't for the RGB logos on either ear cup, you wouldn't even know that this was a Razer headset. And even the big Razer branding etched into the top of the headband is also understated and blends perfectly into the rest of the eye-catching package. As for those RGB logos on the side, well, if you're all about that minimalist look, then I'd probably turn those off right out of the box. This is luckily pretty easy to do via the Razer Audio app, which is also where you can customize the lighting and fiddle around with the EQ. But for the rest of us who don't mind a little RGB flair, I think it looks friggin' sick. The lighting is fairly subdued and subtle thanks to some really impressive diffusion, making them look more like glow-in-the-dark stickers than RGB zones, and I'm all for it. The only aesthetic thing that I didn't love about the headset is the fact that the wires connecting the ear cups are visible from the inside of the headband, where it meets the ear cup. I mean, the wires are white and you'd never really see them from the outside or even from the inside if you weren't looking for them, but still I think it takes away from the overall fancy look ever so slightly. Just cover those up, Razer. Now, though the Kaira Pro looks a little dainty compared to a lot of other bulkier headsets, it's surprisingly durable. While bending and twisting the headset a lot more aggressively than anyone probably would, I never felt like I was gonna break this thing, and it didn't even fight back with a single squeak or any weird noises at all, really. In fact, pretty much all of the moving parts were smooth and silent during this whole horrifying ordeal. Impressive stuff. The only thing I can really complain about here is that the matte white finish, being a matte white finish, tends to get dirty pretty easily. But that's the price we happily pay for white peripherals. And speaking of price, I never actually mentioned how much this thing costs, so here goes. The Razer Kaira Pro Dual Wireless is currently selling for around $130 on Amazon or 4,000 Rand here in South Africa, which makes it legitimately, shockingly competitive. At that price, it's quite a bit cheaper than some of its more direct competition like the EPOS H6 Pro, GSP 370, and many of the mid-range offerings from SteelSeries, Logitech, Corsair, HyperX, and most of the other manufacturers too. So, it looks good and is priced really well, but obviously that's only a small part of the story here. So let's move on to the more critical stuff, starting with comfort. While the Kaira Pro is a little more compact and sleek than most of the gaming headsets out there right now, it's still kind of heavy at 365 grams. But even so, after putting it on, I barely noticed it at all. Whether that's due to the fact that it has a lot of foam padding in the top of the headband, or because I'm used to my current headset, which is even heavier, I don't know. But I didn't experience any neck strain or other weight related issues even after hours of daily use. The headset weight related issues. My weight related issues are a different story. Anyway, the headset fit is super customizable, allowing you to adjust the headband to fit pretty much whatever head shape, and the ear cups have a lot of swivel to them, which makes it even easier to find the almost perfect fit. And it lets you wear them around comfortably around your neck. And I say almost perfect fit there because I found that getting the perfect fit can actually be a little finicky. I had to spend a couple of seconds adjusting the position of the ear cups to make sure my ears don't make contact with the driver wall every time I put it on. It's not a big deal to me, but if you do have big old floppy ears, they will likely make contact with the driver wall regardless of your adjustments. That's probably why there's a thick layer of padding on the inner walls, so even if your ears do make contact, it probably won't be all that bad. The ear cups themselves are a little on the small side, but my ears fit into them perfectly. If you have bigger ears, again, there's a small chance that they won't fit snugly into the ear cups, which obviously would not be ideal. But again, for me, it was totally fine. The headset's clamping force is also totally fine, being strong enough to keep the headset from flying off your head during moderate headbang sessions, while also not being so much that there's pressure on any one spot, even with my glasses on, which is a pretty big deal to me. A lot of that comes down to the plush memory foam inside of the ear cups, along with the leatherette finish on the outside, which makes it super comfy. All of that mixed in with just the right clamping force and extensive adjustability makes the Kaira Pro a very comfy little headset that I can wear for almost an entire day without any issue, which I've done for many days. Now, before jumping into the most important parts of any gaming headset review, those being audio and mic quality, we've got to take a quick detour to talk about haptics on this thing, because it's actually kind of awesome. When I first heard about headsets with haptics, I wrote it off as a gimmick. And don't get me wrong, it totally is. But hot dang is it a cool one. The haptic feedback is super precise and powerful in most of the games I tested, vibrating with substantial force at just the right moments. Like when a grenade pops off next to me in Apex, or when the fire giant in Elden Ring stomps my ass into the ground for the 20th time. It's glorious. It can become a little much at times, with the headset going absolutely nuts during boss fights with epic orchestral music blasting into your eardrums. So for those instances, I did feel the need to lower the level of the haptics to a lower setting. That muchness also makes its way into movie and video watching, with the headset vibrating quite a bit even when there's just someone with a deep voice on screen. And it doesn't really add much to the experience unless you're watching high-octane action movies or something. The same sort of goes for music, but here I feel it'll depend a lot on what you like listening to. For me, who never grew out of the whole metal phase, it was more of a distraction from the music rather than an enhancement. But if you're into stuff with a lot of deep bass, man, you're in for a treat. The haptics during bass-heavy songs makes it feel like you're standing next to those big boy speakers at a live concert, and it legitimately improves the listening experience. Overall, I think Razer's haptic implementation with the Kaira Pro is top tier, and the only issues I had with it the biggest being that it tickles my ears a little, are solved by being able to adjust the vibration level or just turn it off completely. Definitely don't buy the headset for these haptics, but if you're gonna buy it anyway, then it's a really cool bonus. But all of the bonuses in the world don't matter if the thing sounds like crap, and sorry to disappoint anyone who thought that it might, because it actually sounds really damn good. I have to give credit to Razer right off the bat for not forcing me to download Synapse, which can still be a frustrating mess in order to get the most out of the Kaira Pro. There is nothing worse than putting on a brand new set of cans just to have them sound like garbage until you download an app. Now, the Kaira Pro sounds great as soon as you take it out of the box. On the bass front, it delivers a ton of it, thanks to 50mm Triforce titanium drivers. More than enough bass to make the EDM and big budget action movie fans out there very happy, while also not pushing it so much down your throat that it drowns out the rest of the frequencies nearly as much like as you'd expect. It does happen to a minor extent, but still, it's fairly sharp, accurate, and punchy, and only sounds a teensy bit muddy when compared to my much more expensive GSP 670. It also goes super loud, with me getting to about 80% volume before the highs get a little too intense for my liking, so that's another legitimate plus. Oh, and even though the headset has no active noise cancellation, the seal on the ear cups itself is great at passively blocking out most unwanted outside noise. As for those highs and mids, the Kaira Pro kills it here too. There's a definite clarity, richness, and fullness to it that gives the headset a surprisingly balanced, albeit slightly bass-heavy and enjoyable sound signature. A signature that lands it very close to the top of my list of favorite gaming headsets, with only one or two pricier headsets above it. Moving away from the more general experience, in gaming scenarios, the Kaira Pro doesn't disappoint here either. I've never really been a fan of the software-powered surround sound experience offered by gaming headsets, as they're very hit or miss, but the Kaira Pro definitely hits a lot more than it misses. And so did I. The positional audio was great, allowing me to pinpoint enemy movements and footsteps without any guesswork needed, and if you're an FPS nut, you'll really appreciate it. It also made parts of slower-paced single-player games just a touch more immersive, although I still prefer to turn surround off for most AAA titles, since for some reason it distracts me a little bit. So yeah, the mix of superb audio quality for a headset in this price range and some legitimately impressive haptics make the Kaira Pro a force to be reckoned with. Even so, I do have one relatively annoying complaint about the headset's audio quality, and weirdly it has nothing to do with the drivers or anything like that. It's that every now and then, with the haptics even turned off, I swear I can hear or feel the haptic motors, or at least I assume it's the motors, move and make a mechanical sound sometimes when I move my head. I can only really hear it when I'm in a calm section of a game or when I have movie or music volume way down, but it's still kind of annoying when it happens. Now, as much love as I've shown the Razer Kaira Pro so far, there's a bit of a catch. Well, actually, it's a major freaking catch, and it's one that I know will be a deal breaker for a lot of you. And it's the mic. It's bad. Very bad. Morbius bad. Well, okay, maybe not quite that bad, but it's still pretty close.
Okay, so what you're hearing right now is the mic on the Razer Kaira Pro without any software tweaks except for a bump in the gain level. And as you can probably tell already, it's not great. It's kind of noisy and makes my voice sound a bit robotic and unnatural, kind of like one of those mics like pilots use to communicate. And it's just not what I expected from a headset within this price bracket.
And for contrast, this is what the mic on the GSP 670, also a wireless headset, sounds like, and immediately my voice comes through much warmer, way more natural, and just better all around. But then again, the GSP 670 is a good chunk more expensive than the Kaira Pro right now, so... And what you're hearing right now is the mic on the GSP 301, a much cheaper, although to be fair, wired headset. And honestly, the mic on this is the best out of all of the headsets I own. My voice comes through very clear, very natural, and the only issue that I can notice with it is that it has some minor compression.
Now cutting back to the Kaira Pro for a quick reminder of what it sounds like and to tell Razer that they should have done better.
So, yeah, that wasn't great. The only thing I legitimately liked about the mic is that it's detachable. But hey, maybe it's just me. Let me know in the comments if you think the mic sounds great and I should have my hearing tested or something. Okay, so now that we have a pretty full picture of Razer's Kaira Pro to work with, do I think you should actually go out and buy this thing? Well, if we didn't go ahead with that mic comparison, it would have been very easy to recommend the Kaira Pro to almost anyone right now. Razer really surprised me with the overall package here. I think the Kaira Pro looks phenomenal, has that premium build quality to back it up, is plenty comfy, and the ease of use of being able to get it up and running quickly without any need for apps and with whatever device you want to use it with is awesome. Combine all of that with like impressive audio quality that almost matches that of much more expensive headsets. Toss in some really fun, albeit somewhat gimmicky, but still really well done haptic feedback, and round it all off with a price tag of just $130, and you've got one hell of a gaming headset to watch out for here. But if you're a competitive gamer who talks to their team a lot, or likes screaming obscenities at your enemies, then you will absolutely feel let down by the Kaira Pro's mic. You could, of course, get a relatively cheap detachable mic that sounds better than a lot of like the mics on most of the gaming headsets these days, but at that point, the value proposition for the Kaira Pro kind of falls apart. Just a little bit. But that's all the time we have for this video. Big thanks to Razer for letting me play around with the Kaira Pro, and if you're in the market for a speedy new Gen 4 SSD, don't forget to check out Crucial's P5 Plus linked in the description down below. Anyway, if you liked the video, hit that button, get subscribed for more, and I'll catch you all in the next one. Cheers. Also, sorry, I've been away for like months, not posting anything. I'm back now. Sorry. See you in the next one. Thanks for watching this far. I'ma go.